Welcome to the MapAcademy. Today we are going to study Chapter 3 of Class 9 Political Science book. The title of the chapter is Electoral Politics. In the first chapter, we understood that democracy is the form of government in which leaders are elected by people. In this chapter, we will study how elections are conducted to elect these leaders. Here are the main topics we will cover. Introduction to election. Steps involved in election process. Democratic elections. Challenges to free and fair elections. The first topic is election, in which we will understand meaning, need and benefits of elections. Let's begin with asking an important question. What is an election? To understand the meaning of elections, let us take the example of a candidate who registered landslide victory in 2014 elections. But the people were not happy with his performance during the next 5 years, and hence in next elections in 2019 people didn't vote for him, and hence he suffered humiliating defeat. After building our understanding with this example, we can give definition of elections. An election is a mechanism by which people can choose their representatives at regular intervals and change them if desired. After understanding meaning of election, another question comes to our mind: why do we need elections? In first chapter we studied that in a democracy important decisions are taken by leaders elected by people. To elect these leaders, elections are held in democracy. This is the reason why India spends huge amount of money in conducting elections. Let us understand the need of elections with the help of Lok Sabha elections in India. The entire country is divided in 543 parts, and these 543 parts are called constituencies. Now, people from each of these 543 constituencies elect one leader and send him to the parliament. These elected leaders in parliament make laws for the country. Now, the party whose members are in majority in Lok Sabha will decide who will be the Prime Minister of the country. The Prime Minister selects a few leaders from parliament and make them minister. The Prime Minister and all ministers are collectively called government. The government take all major decisions of the country. They decide how all important matters of the country are to be handled. The policies of the party whose members are in the majority in the parliament will have influence on the government and lawmaking process. We have understood with the help of Lok Sabha elections that why we need elections. Elections are fundamental to any democracy. They allow citizens to choose who will make laws for them, who will form the government and take major decisions, and which party's policies will guide the government and lawmaking. In election there is a political competition among different parties. In the next topic, we will understand the benefits of this electoral competition in a democracy. Political competition is essential in a democracy. It has several benefits. First, people can change the candidates in the next elections who they think didn't perform well. Second, regular electoral competition provides incentives to political parties and leaders to work for the welfare of the people. They know that if they work for people, then they will vote for their party. Third, parties understand that addressing people's concerns improves chances of winning in future elections. Even if a party is only motivated by the desire to be in power, it is forced to serve the people to retain their support. Hence, we can conclude that regular electoral competition is good for democracy as it forces the parties to work for welfare of people. It also allows people to judge the work of ruling party periodically. In next topic, we will discuss election system in India. In India, elections are mainly conducted at 3 levels. At central level, elections are conducted to elect members of parliament. These members of parliament then chose Prime Minister of India. At state level, elections are conducted to elect members of state legislature. These members of state legislature then chose Chief Minister of State. Third, the elections are held in villages and municipalities to elect local government at village or city level. The elections at these three levels are conducted regularly after every 5 years. Now, we will take example of Lok Sabha to understand elections at central level. The Lok Sabha elections are held regularly after every 5 years. The entire country is divided in 543 parts and these 543 parts are called constituencies. Now, people from each of these 543 constituencies elect one leader and send him to the parliament. These elections, which take place simultaneously in all constituencies, are called general elections. Now, let us assume that elected leader from one of the constituencies dies or resigns after 2 years. To fill this vacancy, elections are held in this single constituency. The leader from this constituency is elected for remaining term of Lok Sabha, which is 3 years in this example. This type of election, which is conducted to fill a single constituency, is called by-election. These 3 characteristics of elections in India are listed here again for your revision. In the next topic, we will study election process in detail. First of all, Election Commission prepares list of voters in the country. In the second step, the entire country or the state for which elections are to be conducted is divided into different parts. These parts are called constituencies. Some of these constituencies are reserved for weaker communities of the society. Now, political parties decide their candidates who are going to contest elections from these constituencies. These candidates submit their nomination form to the representatives of Election Commission. Next, these candidates campaign for election and appeal voters to vote for them. In the sixth stage, the voters of each constituency vote for the candidates who are contesting election from their constituencies. Let us understand these steps with the help of a timeline in greater detail. In a democratic election, the list of eligible voters is prepared well before the election. This list is also called the electoral roll. All citizens who are more than 18 years old are eligible for voting. In the next step, India is divided by Election Commission into different areas for the purpose of elections called electoral constituencies, and one representative is elected from each. For Lok Sabha elections, India is divided into 543 constituencies. In Lok Sabha elections, the elected representative from each constituency is called MP, while in assembly elections, he is called MLA. Similarly, at the local level, villages and towns are divided into wards. To ensure fair representation, some constituencies are reserved for people who belong to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. In the Lok Sabha, 84 seats are reserved for SCs and 47 for STs. In these constituencies, only candidates belonging to the SC or Cent categories can contest. Additionally, seats are reserved for other backward classes, OBC, and women in many local bodies. Anyone who can vote can also become a candidate, provided they are at least 25 years old. Every candidate has to fill out a nomination form and submit it to the representatives of Election Commission. In the nomination form, they must give full details of pending criminal cases, assets and liabilities, educational qualifications. These details in nomination form is made public for voters to make an informed decision. Election campaigns in India last for 2 weeks between the announcement of the final candidate list and the polling date. Candidates contact voters, political leaders address meetings and appeal voters to vote for them. On election day, voters cast their vote at a polling booth. After a few days, votes are counted and results are declared by Election Commission. Now, you must be excited to know in detail that what happens on election day. On voting day, voters exercise their voting right and elect representative from their constituency. To understand the process, let us take example of a voter whose name is Max. First, Max searches his name in the voter list of his constituency. The voter list is prepared by Election Commission. After finding his name in the voter list, Max visits the polling booth. Polling booth is the place where voters cast their votes. At polling booth, Max shows his voter ID card to the officials who are on election duty on polling booth. After verifying his identity, official put ink mark on Max's finger. Now, Max goes to the EVM machine and presses the button of his favorite candidate. This process is followed by all voters to cast their votes. Now we have the next question. After voting, how are the winners declared? In other words, what happens on vote counting day? Votes are counted by officers deputed by the Election Commission, and winners are declared on this vote counting day. Let us understand the process in detail. Once the polling is over, all the EVMs are sealed on the voting day and are taken to a secure place. A few days later, all the EVMs are opened on the vote counting day, and the votes secured by each candidate are counted. After the counting of votes, the candidate who secures the highest number of votes is declared elected. The vote counting process is done in transparent manner. The representatives of all parties remain present on vote counting center. The next topic is democratic elections. The question is, what makes an election democratic? If we are given an example of any country and asked whether elections in that country are democratic or not, we will have to look for three characteristics. The first one is regular elections. Elections are democratic if they are held regularly. For instance, in India, parliamentary elections as well as state assembly elections are held every 5 years. The next characteristic is that elections should be free, which means parties and candidates should have the freedom to contest elections, and voters should be free to cast their votes. The vote value of each citizen should be equal. The next characteristic is that elections should be fair, which means the voter should have the right to choose their representative. There should be no malpractice or fraud in the elections, only the candidate who secures the maximum number of votes should be declared the winner. If these three characteristics are present in any elections, then the elections are called democratic. Next, we will understand in detail what makes elections in India democratic. In other words, which factors make sure that elections in India are regular, free and fair. There are three important factors. The first one is an independent election commission. The Chief Election Commissioner is appointed by the President, and the Election Commission has the power and resources to conduct free and fair elections. Due to its appointment by the President, the political party in power has no control over the Election Commission. The next factor is the acceptance of election results. In India, with few exceptions, defeated parties always accept the outcome of the election results. The third factor is popular participation. In India, voter interest in elections has been increasing over the years. The underprivileged people vote in larger proportion. These three factors make sure that Indian elections are regular, free and fair, and hence are considered democratic. After candidates file the nomination form, they are given almost 2 weeks to campaign among voters and appeal voters to vote for their parties. Now, we will study the activities prohibited in election campaigns as per the Indian election law. Among the prohibited activities during the election campaign, the first one is that no party or candidate can appeal to voters in the name of caste or religion. The second activity is that government resources cannot be used for election campaigns. This ensures that the ruling party has no advantage over other parties. Bribing or threatening voters to vote for a particular party candidate is not allowed. A candidate or party can't spend more than 25 lakhs in a constituency for a Lok Sabha election. This is to make sure that rich candidates don't have undue advantage in election campaign. The Election Commission has authority to take action against those parties or candidates which violate these rules. Next topic is the Model Code of Conduct. The Election Commission ensures that all parties follow some rules and regulations during the elections. These rules and regulations are written in the Model Code of Conduct. As per the Model Code of Conduct, certain activities are prohibited. The use of any place of worship like temple or gurudwara for election propaganda is not allowed. Next, the use of government vehicles, aircraft, and officials for elections by any party is not allowed. Lastly, once elections are announced, ministers of the government should not lay foundation stones for any project or take any policy decisions. This ensures that the elections are not influenced by the ruling party. If any party violates the Model Code of Conduct, the Election Commission can take action to ensure that elections are conducted in a free and fair manner. Till now, you have understood that Election Commission play an important role in conducting elections. To make sure that elections remain free and fair, Election Commission should be independent. There are 4 factors that make the Election Commission independent. The first one is that the Chief Election Commissioner is appointed by the President of India, which ensures that no political party has influence over the Election Commission. The second factor is that the Election Commission punishes any candidate or party that violates Model Code of Conduct. The next factor is that the Election Commission can order the government to prevent the misuse of governmental power. This ensures that ruling party can't use government machinery in their favor for winning election. The last factor is that on election duty, government officers work under the control of the Election Commission, which makes sure that they can fulfill their election duty without any fear. These 4 factors make the Election Commission independent. Here, they are listed for your revision. The next topic we have is challenges to free and fair elections. The Election Commission takes every step to make sure that elections in India are fair, but there are still some challenges that make it difficult to conduct fair elections. Let us see these factors. The first factor is wealth. Wealthy candidates and party hold an unfair advantage because they can spend more money on their campaigns, giving them an undue advantage over other parties. The second factor is that in many parties, candidates with criminal ties secure tickets from major parties and contest elections, which means that citizens do not have proper choices for candidates. The third factor is that candidates with family links secure major party tickets, which means that able candidates who are genuinely interested in the welfare of the people are not given tickets from the major parties. The last factor is that many parties resemble each other in policies and actions, so citizens do not have any real choice. Whatever party they choose, the actions and policies of those parties are almost similar. These 4 factors which we discussed here are challenge to free and fair elections in India. The notes of this chapter will be uploaded in the video description. Thank you for watching this video. Follow, like, and subscribe to MapAcademy channel to watch more such educational videos.